All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quantum Leap Formula, our 5-day Freedom Accelerator. I'm Mikey Stiller, the CEO and co-founder of Vossoughi Co., and I'm so thrilled to be the first one to welcome you to this incredible event. I can't think of a better way to kick off Monday and kick off a brand new week than with you right here, learning this incredible information from Arash Vossoughi. So I want to give you a little bit of information about how this week is going to go, and then we are going to get right into it. So if you have been to any of our events in the past, you may have noticed that this one is different. It's happening on Zoom, and we're really excited to provide all of you with an elevated event experience. We're going to be on Zoom the entire week. There is nothing going on in a Facebook group. All that you need for the event is happening right here. You'll notice that at the bottom of the Zoom screen, there's a button called Resources. And under Resources, you'll find a workbook. You'll see a button to schedule a strategy session with one of our incredible coaches and anything else that you need. I want to make sure that everyone is really involved in the chat. Make sure that you are answering anything that Arash says, jumping in, and give this your undivided attention. We're going to go probably 60, but maybe 90 minutes if Arash is getting a little long-winded on us, Monday through Friday this week. And during that 90 minutes, if at all possible, make sure that you join us live. The energy of being here live is different than the recording. And that brings me to the next question that I've been asked over and over again already, which is yes, there will be a recording available from these sessions, and you'll have access to the recording until March 8th. Right after the session ends, you're going to get an email from Zoom with a link to the replay. It should be really straightforward of how to access that, and we're looking forward to a seamless process. Now, during the event, go ahead and get a pen and a piece of paper, close out all of your other tabs, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, maybe turn it over and set aside all distractions. Give Arash your undivided attention. Now, maybe this is your first event that you've ever attended like this, or maybe you've attended lots of events in the past, but you haven't got the results that you're looking for. What I want to do right now is I want to challenge you to go all in, to give Arash your undivided attention, but to also take him up on all of his suggestions. He's going to make a lot of suggestions through the event. And one thing that makes Arash so different as a teacher and mentor is he doesn't just give you information and give it to you out of a fire hose and say, okay, go do what you want. He gives you the exact processes of how to implement it to change your life. So take him seriously. Implement what he's teaching you every single day and know that this event is going to be different. And if you do the work works, and you're going to get the results, and you're going to know exactly how to create a quantum leap, not just this week, but over and over again. So we're thrilled to be walking with you side by side through this event. And I'm not going to take up any more time. I'm going to hand it over to the man of the hour, who I believe is the best mentor and coach in the world, and who's going to be guiding you through our 5-day Freedom Accelerator. Arash, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Mikey. Great to be here with everybody.
It is great to be here. I'm really excited for this event, excited to be here on Zoom, but really excited for the content of the event, because I know that you've designed this to be so special, and I know that freedom is something you can really relate to in your story.
Yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal week for everybody. I always say it takes one idea to change your life. And it was one idea that changed my life. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm very excited for everybody.
I am too. I'm going to let you jump into your slides. If you need anything, let me know.
All right. Thanks so much. All right. Let me share my screen, and then we can get started. All right. Quantum Leap Formula. I am very excited for this week. This is going to be a phenomenal week for you. And for some of you, it's going to be a week that you're going to look back on that is going to be the tipping point and turning point of your life. What I want for you is where you accept the idea that a quantum leap is what you continually create throughout your year. I remember that word quantum leap was so impactful for me. When I started creating quantum leaps, that's all I expected for myself. And if I can do it, you can do it. Now, if we look at this week, it's going to be all about you, how you see yourself, the conversations you have with yourself, and what you're going to put into work. I always say the doing is the hard part. You know how to do it. And you may say, well, I don't know the exact combination. Well, I'm going to give you the combination. But before we get started, you have to decide that it's going to be you versus you this week, and you're going to overcome the old version of yourself, those old programmings that have kept you back. Now, I want you to come with these 4 rules for yourself. These are the 4 rules and core values that I have every day. And I want to start with this. Number 1, we have to conquer ourselves. That's the first thing we have to conquer every day. We have to sell ourselves on the idea that we're going to beat our personal best every day. And when I say conquer yourself, that means you're not going to let outside circumstances control you. And you have to have a goal that inspires you. You ask yourself every day, do I have a goal that inspires me? Now, for every one of us, our biggest roadblock is our present results. It's my biggest roadblock every day. It has been for the last 17 years. And how I overcome it is, number 1, I have a goal that inspires me. I make a committed decision that I'm not going to let the outside circumstances disturb me. And I'm going to go all in on what I want. Now, if you've been listening to me before, if you've done events like this before, if you've been in the personal development space for years, what I want you to do is look at your results. The results always tell you how well you understand this. And the results are a compass of our life. So if you're saying, oh, I've heard this before, look at your results and come in with an open mind, and you're going to create a massive jump by just coming in with that. And we want to understand, when I say the conversations you have with yourself, the only limit we have is the limit we have in our own mind. If we all understood how important our thoughts are, and our thought causes everything, we would be so locked in to thinking from a prosperity consciousness. Now, to me, this is what it's about. My mentor used to always tell me this. He said, we have one life that we know. It's about how I want to be living. How do you want to live? It's about contribution. We are always compensated in the exact proportion of our contribution. Now, people try to fight this. This is the law. It's the law of compensation. So it's about, how do you want to contribute? Do you want to contribute with a full heart? Do you want to contribute on what you get? When you put all your attention on contribution, your rewards are going to be so significantly higher. And it's about how we spend our days. I want you to take a look at your life. How are you spending your days? Are you grinding through them? Are you coming from creation? Are you coming from competition? Are you drained at the end of the day? Are you completely effortless? Are you emotionally free? I want you to be emotionally free, because that's when you're in the spirit. That's when you're not thinking, you're being. You do the thinking in your processes, in your protocols. And then your thinking becomes a part of you where it becomes effortless. And the most important thing, it's dependent on how we see ourselves. It's not what we want that we bring into our life. It's what we believe about ourselves that is going to bring in our results. Now, success is about stacking small wins. You have to do a few disciplines compounded over time that create a massive quantum leap. Now, I want you to think of that word quantum leap. Do you expect that right now? We're almost 2 full months into the year. And did you revert back to your old programming? Were you super jazzed up to start the year and you went back into the default program? See, 95% of our day is run by a program unless we intentionally, consciously replace that program. I want you to accept this idea on day 1 from the very beginning, that a quantum leap is your absolute birthright. Now, let's look at greatness. I want to start with greatness because every single one of you has greatness inside of you. I can't give you greatness. You already have it. What I want to do is unleash it and let it out of you. You don't force greatness. You let it out of you. You already have confidence. Confidence just needs to be developed and unleashed. So I want you to really ask yourself, do I believe that I have greatness inside of me? And am I ready to unleash it? I want you to put in the chat right now, if you are all in with unleashing your greatness from today, going forward, not just the rest of this year, but 2025, 2026, 2027, the more you let it out, the more you're going to see greatness all around you. And the beautiful part of it is when you unleash it, your environment changes. You're going to be around like-minded people who are wanting to expand themselves just like yourself. Now, what is greatness? It always starts with hard work and discipline. I use the word hard work because in the beginning, you have to consciously replace your programming and create a new program, and that takes work. And nothing happens without discipline. But that's, you mix the two together, you create a great work ethic, you create great processes, you create great protocols, and you mix it with discipline, and there you have is greatness. Now, I want you to think about discipline. Discipline is the prequel to your quantum leap. It is impossible without discipline. And I want to, throughout the week, I'm going to make discipline so easy in your mind. If you're anything like me, when my mentor first told me, he said, I can show you how to get anything you want, but you're going to have discipline. And I said to him, that's where I dropped the ball. I said, I'm a great starter and a terrible finisher. And he said, that's because you've never gotten the proper direction and you don't understand what discipline is. And it was like that moment that just opened me up. It was like a veil that just opened up, like the curtain in my mind just opened up. And I said, well, do you really want it? And I said, yeah, I really want it. And this was the conversation I was having. Then I said, I'm going to have to figure out this discipline thing. The truth is you can't have a great attitude without discipline. You can't have freedom without discipline. You can't have a great life without discipline. And right now, you and I are all disciplined. Just watch what you repeatedly do. So it's not that you don't have discipline in your life. I want you to bulletproof yourself so you have discipline and connect it to your goal. You have discipline, you connect it to your standards. You have discipline and you connect it to the life you want. And that's why discipline is so huge. Now, at the very beginning, we have to take extreme ownership that we are all responsible for all the results we're getting. I told you to look at your results from a neutral place. That came from you. Results always come from us, not to us. It's always happening from our thinking, from our actions, from our belief system, from our mindset, from our environment, but it's always coming from us, not to us. When you take full responsibility, you take back the power to transform your life. Now think about this. I said one of the core 4 principles that I want you to think about was not allowing outside circumstances to control you. When you allow outside circumstances to control you, what you're doing, you're giving all your power away to the outside. And you're taking away all your greatness from the inside. I want you to make a core philosophy and then make it, once it's your philosophy, it's going to become your standard, that from this point on, my dominant idea is that I'm dumping into myself what I want, not what the outside is telling me. We have to discipline ourselves so good to not let the outside disturb us. Now, let's look at how we activate greatness in our life. Greatness, when you activate it, you attract what you expect. We don't get what we want. We get what we expect because our expectation controls our behaviors. When we are operating with greatness, everything is going to come from our desire. Every action, every thought, every person you spend your time with is going to be activated from your desire. And then you're going to become what you respect. You're going to have such a high standard for yourself that is in harmony with greatness. And then you're going to mirror what you admire. You're going to become those identity-based behaviors that we're going to create this week that are going to put you on the track to create quantum leap after quantum leap after quantum leap. Now, greatness is not measured by what a person accomplishes, but by the opposition they overcome to reach their goals. Now, when we look at goals, you have to understand everything has to come from the goal, but you also have to program yourself to do the things you don't want to do that are going to take you to create a massive quantum leap. I don't always want to practice my disciplines, but I know they're essential. And I do them because I know if I don't do them, I'm going to slide backwards. So you want to put that in your mind. Are you doing just what you want to do that's comfortable? Or are you getting out of your comfort zone? Now, greatness is not a destination, and it's a journey that never ends. Committing to the journey is hard work. It requires a significant standard. It requires somebody who respects themselves. A lot of people are always going to the destination, and I was just like that. I said, oh, when I achieve financial breathing room, because when I started this, I was 150,000 in debt starting over. I had just lost my job. All I wanted to do was really breathe. I felt the pressure of the world behind me. It was 3 weeks before I was getting married. And I thought, oh, when I get to this, then I'm going to be good. Well, as soon as I kept improving my income, I realized I wanted to go to another level and another level and another level. And so I realized this is not about the destination, it's about the journey and committing to the journey. Without commitment, you never get started. So we have to have two things that are essential. We have to have commitment that I'm going to do whatever it takes, and that's going to get you started. And then, oops, it looks like, there we go. Can you guys see me, Mike?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay. All right. Without commitment, you will never start. Without consistency, you will never finish. So now it's consistently operating your daily behaviors every day. And that's what's going to activate greatness. But I want you to understand this. This isn't about doing 1,000 things. This is about doing a few things in a great way every day, constantly being 1% better. True greatness consists in being great with the little things compounded over time. Now, let's look at the rules of success. Now, I didn't make them, but I follow them. Success comes down to a few simple choices. Number one, we have to decide exactly what you want. I want you to think about this right now. What do I want more than anything else in the world? Is it quantum leaps? And then you measure what that means, what a quantum leap is. Is it financial freedom? Then you measure for yourself exactly what that means for you. So number one, you have to decide exactly what you want. Number two, you have to determine what is the price I have to pay. Is that price in mentorship? Is that price in getting in mastermind groups? Is that price in learning how to study in a certain way? Is that price getting out of my comfort zone? So you determine the price you have to pay. And the third part is really the big part with commitment is, am I willing to pay the price? You are not going to get the rewards if you're not willing to pay the price. And the greatest price you have to pay is overcoming the old version of yourself and building a new identity. Now, everything starts with an irrevocable, committed decision. This I'm doing no matter what. Now, I want you to think of what you want in your mind. If you don't have it, we're going to give you exercises to activate it. But I want you to think about what you want. And you have to mix discipline with it. This is crucial. I want to brain tattoo this for you. There is no such thing as decision without discipline. When you mix discipline, you say, this I'm going to do no matter what. I don't know how it's going to happen. All I know is that I am willing. Once you're willing, you activate the whole universe. The whole universal source comes to your aid once you make a decision with this mixed with discipline. And it's going to have your back and show you exactly what you need to the fulfillment of your desire. Now, committing to excellence means showing up and doing the work. You can't do the work once in a while. You have to do it consistently. And doing it consistently is what activates the greatness. Now, I want you to think of your days. Over the last 2 months, have I been consistent? And you don't beat yourself up, you just observe yourself. And if you have not been consistent, you ask yourself, what were the triggers in me that really caused me to shrink, that really caused me to accept lesser goals, that really caused me to be distracted? Commitment is an all in. And when you're all in, it becomes effortless. Now, you have to understand you. We're going to really get into your programming tomorrow, but you want to understand from the start that you are infinite, And infinite is everywhere around you. There is no end to where you could take yourself. If one person can do it, you can do it. If there's one person in your town that could create financial freedom, you can create financial freedom. If there's 1%, if there's one person who can create wealth, you can create wealth. We are all the same. There is no limit to where you could take yourself. The law of your being is for perpetual increase and growth. If you want to run, you want to run faster. If you want to jump, you want to jump higher. If you are selling your idea, product, or service, you want to think, how can I do it better? And we want to accept this idea. And I remember my first week of being mentored. My mentor, Bob Proctor, shared with me, he said, I need you, Arash, to accept this idea that you're infinite. And he said, it's going to be so out of the realm because nobody talks to you like this. And he said, but I want you to see yourself as infinite. You have infinite potential inside of you. And it is absolutely dying to come out of you. And he said, when you see yourself that way, you are going to be so far ahead of anybody or anything because nobody thinks like this. And I said, do you wake up saying to yourself, I'm infinite? He says, no. But he said, but I come from that space because my mentor got that ingrained in me. And he said, I want you to accept this idea. If you accept it right now, it'll go deep inside of you. And I want you to accept it. There's no limit to where you could go. The only limit is in your thinking. And remind yourself, you cannot get results beyond your current level of thinking. Think of your life right now and look at the results. They'll tell you what your thinking patterns are. So understand we can always change that. Now, the doorway to change is courage. Do you realize when you do one positive thing, compounded over time, just one thing that you keep repeating, like Aristotle says, we become what we repeatedly do, that right away is going to increase your income. That right away is going to increase your worth. It is going to absolutely change the game in your life. Now, you have to have the courage from the very beginning on day one, right now, to bet on yourself. And there's nobody better to bet on than you. You have to go all in and say, I know I've never done this, but I'm doing it now. I don't know why. I just know I'm committed. I am ready. I am ready to create a massive quantum leap. I am ready to stop holding back. I am ready to be an active player in my life. I am ready to let my genius express itself. And I am ready to become worthy and deserving of the good that I desire. And when you do that, now you're on the road to pivot forward and start walking into your future self. Now let's look at success at the highest level. It takes mastery, and mastery starts with day one. Now, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to start to become great. It starts. It's the start that stops most people. That is a great quote from a Hall of Fame coach, Don Shula. And once you get started, everything changes. And that's what you want to understand. Once you get started, everything absolutely changes. Mike, I gotta stop this for a second because my screen share stopped.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. Let me pull it back up. Having some computer issues over here.
That's all right.
All right.
Did you lose the slides?
Yeah, my computer's having some IP issues, it keeps saying. So on my screen, it keeps starting and stopping. So I have to pull it back up. Just 1 second.
Okay. In the meantime, if you haven't let us know where you're joining us from, why don't you let us know where you're joining from in the chat?
All right, I'm back up. Can you see
All right,
that?
we see it. Yep.
Okay, so you have to really perform according to your standard. And so we're going to get into standards today. But I want you to ask yourself, what are my standards? What are my core ethics right now? And then we look at your income always reflects your identity. Our identity is crucial. Like none of us can outperform our identity. So if we look at our income results, that tells us our identity. But don't get emotionally involved in that if you're not at the income you want, because you can always change it. That's what I had to do. That's what every single person has to do. But it tells us a story of what's going on inside of us. And we want to understand what creates our identity is the story we have of ourselves. You will never outperform your story and how you see yourself. So take a good look and say, oh, this is interesting. This is my story. Now, it all comes down to attitudes and habits. And I want you to develop world-class habits. And when you develop world-class habits, you start with one. And I always like for myself looking, and I do this with all my elite clients that I work with. They'll come to me, they'll tell me their goal, and I say, okay, let's stop right there. What habits no longer serve you in your life that we want to release? And I said, I want you to just release them now. Like, make a decision. I'm done with this. You make a committed decision. And how we make this so easy, we pick one habit that they really want to install to make this the best year of their life. So think about this. What one habit? I don't want you to think of 100. Maybe you want to make money a habit for you. Maybe you want to make doing it now, acting on ideas a habit for you. What is that one habit that you want to install that you're saying, I can commit to one thing? What is that one thing? And then decide what is your most destructive habit that is holding you back. To me, procrastination is one of the most destructive habits that keeps people from living their potential. What is that habit for you? Think about, I want you to put this in your notes. What is the habit that I'm going to release? Number one. And number two, what habit must I install to make this the best year of my life? Now, what would your life look like this year at the end of 2024 if you didn't achieve your goals? And the reason I put this up is every day is our year in miniature. Robin Sharma says that. It's such a great quote because we've got to value what we're doing every day. That's why if you will set up the right processes in place, surround yourself with the right mentors, get in the right environment, all you have to do every day is measure against what you're doing every day. And then failure or success happens by default. If you're doing it, success happens easily and effortlessly. But I want you to make a decision that you are not going to settle for lesser goals, that you are going to go all in with yourself. If you go all in for 6 months, you are going to be astounded by what you achieve.